No, your eyes and your ears don't deceive you. That is a 12-string sound coming out of a guitar that looks and plays like a 6-string. But it's not. This is the Roger McGuinn model Martin HD-7 acoustic guitar. This guitar is a 7-string model, but not a 7-string like you would see like shredders playing, where they've got the one lower string that can really just give you some great lead tones and all kinds of different scales. This one here is a normal 6-string acoustic guitar, but it has the G doubled in an octave. And if you take a look here at the bottom, it's actually got one additional string here and the peg down at the bottom that's kind of recessed, and they even recessed this piece of ebony down here to account for it. And when you play both of those together, it plays both the high octave and the low octave, just like a 12-string guitar. But if you've ever tried to play a 12-string acoustic, they're different. They're kind of cumbersome to play. The necks are wider to account for when I say wider, I mean this way, wider, not thicker, and to account for the extra strings. This one really just feels like a 6-string neck. I don't notice any difference here. And it just plays like you would normally play a 6-string, and you can play, and it kind of sounds just like a great 6-string guitar. The only difference is that when you're kind of picking, you can hear the 12-string note. So when you're playing little leads in between things, along with your strumming, you can kind of get a little bit of both. Roger McGuinn from the Byrds, if you don't know that. Of course, I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you didn't know who Roger McGuinn was, but he called this the Swiss Army knife of guitars, and I actually saw him play recently in a concert. Still was awesome at 82 years old, and he played this on stage, or not this particular one, but the same model. And, they've also made a lower price version, a lower ornamentation version called the D7, and this one is the HD7. And so in my previous video about my one and only Martin acoustic guitar, which you can check out, I talked about how I really just wanted a Martin acoustic guitar, one that was all wood, one that was made in America, in the original factory over there in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, although that wasn't the original, back from when they were in New York in the 1800s. But I wanted something that could just really be the one and only acoustic amongst this gigantic sea of electric guitars that I've got, and another half of the collection you don't see down that way. And so this one, when I thought of it again after I saw him in concert, because I had known about it beforehand, and I crept into my mind, eventually saw this one for sale online from a reputable guitar dealer. So when I purchased actually my very high-end Gibson custom shop guitar, it was the 3 pickup 68 reissue with the Nordic blue finish, and you can also check out that video. But I thought, okay, this one's in really great condition, and really after I kind of cleaned and polished it up, it really just, it's basically unplayed. I can't really find a whole heck of a lot of things that said that someone really played this. They might have strummed it from time to time, but there's no wear to the frets. There's really hardly any notable scratches or anything. It's just, now that it's all polished, it attracts the dust. But this one is a pretty special guitar, and I'm very convinced that I am never going to find an acoustic guitar that is better than this one. I might find others that are as nice or maybe a little fancier looking or something like that, but in terms of sound, in terms of the ornamentation, all the factors combined and the uniqueness of it, I really do think that this one here is the one that I keep forever and is kind of my one and only acoustic from now on. So what makes this thing so special? Well, obviously it's a 7-string guitar. I really like that. I've always loved that 12-string. I've got my Rickenbacker electric 12-string here. Clearly a big fan of Mr. McGuinn. And this guitar here has his autograph inlaid in pearl, beautiful pearl, here on the fretboard. And then it also has a really cool abalone shell inlays up and down the fretboard here. And if you get in really close, you can see there's a 7 inlaid on the first fret inside that abalone marker. And then of course this beautiful D45 style headstock veneer with the CF Martin inlaid right there, which they only do on their higher end guitars, and it's one of those things that's always been kind of envy inducing. My last one just had the Martin sticker on the top, in gold, and this one, it really does the trick in that department. And this guitar actually, believe it or not, checks something off of the guitar bucket list, and what that is the Apex head carve. Now, I've always seen this and wanted this on a Gibson, but there really weren't any Gibson models that I coveted that just so happened to have that. And, are the reasons for my collection ridiculous? Sure, I can come up with a reason to get anything. But even I have to say, buying a custom shop guitar just to get an Apex head carve on the back of it, as nice as they look and all that stuff, I know it's on like the Rhino guitar and whatnot, but I couldn't go that far. So I always thought that was going to be something on the list that was never going to get checked off. And then when I got this guitar and it had that feature, it's like, well, that's kind of unexpected. It happens to be on my acoustic, so we can check that one off of the list. This one has black tuner tips, which are kind of interesting. When you look at them, they have a wood grain look to them. I don't believe that they're made out of wood. They kind of feel like it's more of a composite material, but they do look a lot better in person than I thought. I was kind of curious as to why he went with the black tuner tips. And as you can tell, we've got the normal 3 on this side and the 4 on this side, which is one of those things you probably don't notice right at first, but once you do notice it, it does look weird because it's just not what you normally see. This guitar has a lot of really kind of unique little things to it. One of the things is that it's got a glossy body, that's the front and the back, but it's got more of they call it a satin neck. It's not, I don't know if that's just because I polished it and it's maybe gotten a little more glossy over time, just from playing it previously or whatever, but this one here it's kind of a little more of a satin finish than the body. And then it's also got this ivory binding to it. So it looks like grained, like real ivory would be, but it's obviously not real ivory. One of the other cool features of this one that I have to say, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a factor in me wanting to get this particular model, is that it has a label on the inside that is numbered. This is number 109. They made about 200 or so of these guitars. I think I saw some in the low 200s, but this one is number 109, and it is signed by Roger McGuinn on the inside of that label there, and also signed by CF Martin, who is obviously the owner of the company. So I thought that was so cool. So the fact that both of them signed this, and Martin himself signed this, to me that signifies a special run of the guitar. And I know that's not the case on all of the guitars. My last one obviously didn't have that. And so it just makes this thing a little more special. This guitar has a very odd V-shaped neck. To me, at least, it's odd. My last one had a regular neck. This one has a V-shaped neck, and it is really weird to look at. I mean, when you look at it, and it just, in person at least, is so odd. It's just never really had a V-shaped neck guitar before. And I was worried that it would affect playing, but I honestly don't notice it when I'm playing. It plays just fine. The only thing that I do notice is how big it is in general. It's just such a loud instrument too. And I find that I get some fatigue on my right arm when I'm playing it for a while, because I don't want to put my arm up here and strum over here. I'd rather pick in front of the sound hole. But the other shtick of this guitar is that it's kind of like a D45, which is the highest end regular production Martin model. Those things are $9,700 new, by the way. And this one was not. This one was less than half of that, so that's a good thing. And it is 20 years old. This is a 2005 model, so it's already got a little bit of vintage to it. And you can tell from the ambering of the top. I don't believe they were this ambered over new. And you can actually see some of the ambering, even to the tips of these pegs here. The sides are not as dark as the front. So I'm not sure if this one spent some time in the sun or on display or something like that, but I mean, it's really nice and it's uniform, so can't really complain there. So the ornamentation on a D45 is basically this neck. Obviously it's only a 6-string, but this neck, this headstock, the inlays, except for the Roger McGuinn, and the sound hole purfling that also has pearl over here. And then it stops being a D45 and then kind of shifts gears to become more of a D28, which has the herringbone inlay along the sides, which is just so nice in person, by the way. And then this beautiful herringbone pattern that they put on the back here, which has a little bit of red in it, a little bit of green in it. It's just so nice and just done so well. So, you know, it kind of has half of the D45 features or ornamentation and half of the HD28 features. So it kind of sits in the middle there. And, you know, it's not as fancy as a D45, but it really, when it's striking when you take it out of the case and see, especially after polishing and really just paying good attention to the fretboard and everything. It just really shined up great, and I'm so happy to have it. So this is the HD-7 Roger McGuinn Martin model from 2005, and we're going to give it a quick playing demo over on the microphone to hear how it sounds recorded. The Martin HD-7 acoustic guitar checked one item off the bucket list, the Apex head carve, bringing us up to 40 out of 64 items. Make sure to check out guitarbucketlist.com for the latest list and all the latest updates.